Hey all, welcome back to Awful Stories. I'm Matt, and make sure to leave a like and subscribe for daily videos. The first story we're going to cover is titled, My Sister's Actions Killed Her Husband. So this all started 4 years ago when my sister cheated on her then husband because she was bored. She kept it hidden for months until she felt guilty one day. He immediately spiraled and had a really bad reaction, understandably so. They separated but stayed married just because divorce is expensive. After a bit, he eventually tried to move on and date again. She had threatened her own life when she found out he went on a date, so he stopped. After this, he fell into a really deep depression, started drinking heavily, and would stay in his room when he wasn't working. He could not see a future and continued living with her, existing and freaking out every time he went out on a date or with friends. He would have moved out if he had the money, but unfortunately, they were both in debt during the marriage. During the last 2 years of his life, I sat there trying to get him help, but nobody else wanted to help him, even going to the point of reaching out to people when he told me his plan to leave this earth. She had convinced everyone in the family that he was the problem, and she was justified in cheating. He eventually took his life 2 years ago in a very tragic manner. I fully blame her for pushing him down that road and feel that the blood on my hands is for not doing enough. Lost Personality said, This is rough. How is your sister doing now? Does she know the extent of her actions? To this, OP responded with, She has already moved on and is engaged to somebody else, and they like to ignore that it ever happened. I'm not sure how she is. She doesn't share anything with me anymore. The second story for today is titled, How I Became the World's Worst Wife in 2024, and was made in the True Off My Chest subreddit by a user named Bob Burnhams. I am the winner of World's Worst Wife of 2024. The grand prize was a divorce and a home in the gleaming Worst Wife winner's glass mansion. My ex-husband nominated me for this award because in 2024, I never met him at the door when he came home from work. I avoided sex at all costs, and I despised when he wanted me to cook. But I seconded his nomination because there was a time when I lived to do all those things. I got off work before him. I used to wait by the door, ready to open it, and greet him with a hug and a kiss, but I was often shooed away. My hug was immediately met by his hand pushing me back. Not a shove, not violence, more of a, I'm tired, leave me alone type of thing. After 7 years of it, I stopped coming to the door altogether. He wondered why. I had a breast reduction because my back hurt, and also just because I wanted to wear clothes that fit. The scars were healing beautifully, and I was so excited because I could finally find lingerie that fit. And much to the chagrin of my ex-husband's eyes, I was a heavier woman then. But I was excited to be a sexy wife for my husband, and I put my new lingerie on, and I wanted to show him how well I was healing. He looked at me and said, I'm not paying another red dime to that doctor. You look disgusting. I thought the surgery was supposed to remove fat, not leave it and add fucking scars to the concrete mix. He apologized a couple of hours later, but I really didn't feel like having makeup sex. He wondered why. Then I lost 95 pounds, and by now he had started keeping a running tally of how many times I turned him down, and consistently updated his friends about it. Their wives would tell me how I always lost in those boy group chat comparisons. The wives weren't bragging, it was a girl to girl thing. I wouldn't have known he spoke about me with such contempt otherwise. But I wasn't fat anymore, and I finally felt confident enough to wear the lingerie I'd bought for him years before. It was loose on me now, but I tightened it up as best as I could, and I felt pretty for the first time in a really long time. I asked, What do you think? He looked me up and down and said, Would you ever want to get a boob job since you lost all your tits when you lost weight? I didn't want to wear lingerie again and continued to turn him down. He wondered why. I used to cook only his favorite suppers every night. I loved it. Making the grocery list, cooking, fixing his plate, while he sat down and watched YouTube, all of it. But he changed his favorites and never told me what the new ones were. He'd often call on his way home and say, Nah, I don't want that. Just put it in the fridge. I'll eat it some other day, unless it goes bad first. I'm just gonna stop at Taco Bell. And I wasn't hungry anymore anyway, so I stopped cooking, and then I stopped eating. One day I realized I weighed less than I did when I was 14. He'd occasionally come home hungry though, and I had nothing ready. He started keeping track of those days too, telling his friends. But I still wasn't hungry, so I'd forget to cook. He wondered why. I started feeling sad all the time, and sad girl was no fun for him to be around. So even though we were married and lived together, I never saw him. By then, I was having weekly, seemingly inexplicable panic attacks, the kind where you genuinely think you're dying. I had hives almost perpetually somewhere on my body from 2018 to 2024. If this were someone else's post, I'd say, Girl, get up. He is cheating on you. But I'm definitely up. I just don't have proof. so I won't throw stones in the worst wife winner's glass mansion that I now live in. This is about how I got to live here anyway, and it's kind of beautiful here in its own way. The light usually hits the glass just right, making everything sparkle more brilliantly than the diamond I left at my old house. Plus, I haven't had hives or a panic attack in 10 months. I wonder why. Edit. Thank you all so much. I love that it seems I'm not the only one who found support, camaraderie, and encouragement in the comment section. I'm so grateful so many world's worst partners feel understood and seen here. Thank you for all the personal stories being shared. It's so validating to know I'm not the only world's worst. Secondly, I'm humbly at a loss for words at how many of you have urged me to explore writing further. I didn't know so many strangers would think of me as talented, especially in the manner that some of you have said. I feel encouraged to create and grow. I'm learning so much I never knew about myself these days. So your encouragement means more than I could convey. Truly. Thank you for every kind word you said. Reading this post was heartbreaking. OP calling herself the world's worst wife is dripping with irony because she was honestly just surviving in an environment that slowly chipped away at her confidence and joy. Greeting your husband at the door only to be pushed away isn't rejection, it's emotional neglect. That alone hurts in a way that's hard to put into words. And the way the husband tore down her body and her efforts, mocking the surgery, counting how many times she turned him down, and nonetheless sharing the most vulnerable moments with friends like gossip fodder. It's cruel and demeaning. This clearly is classic emotional abuse, dismissiveness, criticism, control through withholding affection, humiliation, and withdrawal. OP's worth was tied to impossible and shifting standards, set by a piece of shit who clearly didn't care about her. I'm glad to hear that she managed to leave, and how she found space to heal. Prisbatti said, I know someone who had to take antidepressants to get through their marriage. When they finally divorced, she didn't need to take antidepressants anymore. I'm so pleased you got out. He sounds horrific. Jen Gorilla said, What the fuck? This third and final story is titled, My cousin has convinced herself that my husband is in love with her. How do we deal with this? This was posted in the relationship advice subreddit by a throwaway account. My husband, James, and I got married a little over 2 months ago, and this has been going on since then. We had a pretty small wedding. I have a huge family, but invited less than half of them for personal reasons. One cousin, Mira, I was unsure about inviting, but she was going through a hard time, and I thought inviting her would help her get out of her depressive funk. She is recently divorced after her husband of 2 years cheated on her and kicked her out of his home. At the wedding, everything was pretty normal and nothing crazy happened. A relevant detail here is that during the wedding reception, my husband and I did a little segment where we dedicated songs to each other, and they were played with an announcement stating that I dedicated one to him, then he dedicated one to me. The song he dedicated to me was Adore You by Harry Styles. We are both Harry Styles fans, and that is my husband's favorite song. Because of the lyric that says brown skin and lemon over ice, Mira thinks he was secretly dedicating it to her and not me. Her reasoning being that she has darker skin than I do, which is true, but it was not meant for her. And also, an insane thought process. Ever since then, she has been telling people that she and my husband are seeing each other behind my back and bragging about dating him, which she is not doing. My husband had only met Mira once before the wedding, at Thanksgiving 4 years ago, and they didn't even speak to each other apart from saying hi. Mira has been posting poorly photoshopped pictures of herself and my husband, and took photos from the wedding and cropped me out of them, and plastered them on social media, bragging about being with my husband. We have both asked her to stop, and she blocked me and ignored him. My family members are split. The ones who weren't invited are saying I deserve this, and this is my karma for not inviting them to my wedding. My cousins all think Mira is crazy, and my aunts and uncles who were invited say that I should just ignore her since I know she's lying. This is driving me and my husband insane. And yesterday, Friday, she showed up at my husband's job to bring him lunch and told everyone she was his girlfriend, which led to confusion since most of his coworkers know me, and 3 of them were at the wedding. I literally don't even know what to do at this point because this is so stupid and insane that I'm dumbfounded. I would appreciate some advice. How the hell do I handle this? Lease instruction said, Your cousin doesn't sound mentally well, and you should probably consider getting a restraining order. Togar Sucks said, Talk to an attorney about a possible cease and desist. If her behavior continues, especially showing up at his job, it could cross into harassment pretty quickly and would give him an actual legal leg to stand on. Lawyer and law enforcement involvement will also give him some cover with his job if she keeps this kind of behavior up, depending on where you live and what the company is. A stalker causing problems at someone's workplace could be grounds for firing. Make sure your house has cameras and get him a pen cam or something similar in case she tries to engage with him when he is alone.